Elton John, It's Never Too Late. It is a documentary that is on Disney Plus. I am an Elton John fan. I'm not gonna say I'm like a huge fan, but I do like Elton John's journey. I loved his Rocket Man movie that came out in 2019. I want to say it was. Um, so I am a fan of him. He has such a fascinating life that he is just a fascinating figure, in my opinion. So I was excited to see this documentary, and it is a very interesting documentary. I can't believe how much of the Rocket Man movie actually got like accurate. Um, Elton John, I know, was part of producing that, I believe, and like specifically said it needed to be rated R. Otherwise, it's just not a true depiction of his life. And I love that it was a musical, essentially. It was a fantasy musical. I love that about Rocket Man. But honestly, I was watching this and I'm like, this is Rocket Man, just with actual footage and stuff. And we're seeing a little more behind the scenes stuff. Um, so if you like Rocket Man, the movie, you'll probably like this documentary. If you like Elton John, you're definitely going to like this documentary. It is very interesting. I love to hear Elton John talk about his life. I love to hear him talk about the things that he did that he's not necessarily proud of. I love to hear. I love the message kind of this too. The movie talks about he was at his highest point. He was at Dodger Stadium, and days before he tried killing himself. Like he was at his highest in his career, but his lowest low in life. And I love the message of this documentary kind of being that fame is not everything. People think famous people have it all and it's great and it's wonderful and they have nothing to complain about. But at the same time, there's a loneliness to it. And there's when you're famous, everyone loves you, but they don't actually know you to actually love you. And that is something that I find very interesting. Um, it's a reason why I don't ever want to be famous. Hey, there's Chester right there. Um, yeah, but that would be a reason why I would never want to be famous. Why is it not working now? Oh, I love technology. Don't you? Not really. I hate it. I can't stand technology sometimes. We'll get it to work. Anyways, YouTube's up. There it goes. So yeah, I just I found the all the fame kind of related stuff to be really interesting because Elton has always been somebody that has talked in interviews about fame and how it's not always what it's cracked up to be. And I love that Elton is not afraid to talk about that and stuff like that. So that was really interesting. As far as negatives as this documentary goes, it is very descriptive of what happens in his life up until like the 90s. For some reason, it kind of skips over the 90s. Like, it doesn't even really mention the Lion King soundtrack. He won an Oscar for that. I found it interesting that it kind of just skipped over that. Maybe it's because they thought it was too long. It's about an hour and 45 minutes, maybe, or something like that. So, I mean, it's for a documentary that's long, but like, I found it interesting that they didn't even go into the 90s. I almost think this would have been a better TV series, maybe to talk about the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, or something like that. Yeah, but it does talk about quite a bit in his life. It does go over like his final tour, his farewell tour. It goes over a little bit with like his collaborations now with younger artists like Dua Lipa and Britney and such like that. So that was fun to hear and see too. But yeah, it is a really good documentary. It's nothing amazing. It's no Christopher Reeve documentary, but it is a very good documentary. If you like Elton John, if you like his music, um, you can really enjoy this documentary. There's a lot of cool behind the scenes footage. Um, and Elton is being interviewed by a friend of his, and that's kind of what you're hearing as far as narration and stuff goes. So that's really cool that he's being interviewed by a friend. It's not just some random person. It's a friend that knows him, knows what he's comfortable talking about, what he's not comfortable talking about, stuff like that. And I just found it to be a very interesting documentary, even though at the same time I kind of knew all this because of the Rocket Man movie and stuff. Because the Rocket Man movie, again, I was surprised at how accurate it really was. Um, Even though it is a fantasy musical, it kind of was what actually happened for a lot of it. So I did find that really cool and interesting. Oh, there's also some beautiful animation throughout this as well. They're showing moments of his life narrated by Elton, and it's beautifully animated. I had to talk about that too because I was watching it going, wow, that is so beautifully animated. That could have been a great animated kind of documentary, similar to what Brick by Brick was with Pharrell Williams this year. So yeah, it was beautifully done as far as the animation. It's just a beautiful documentary. It really is good. Not as good as Christopher Reeves. If I have to pick a documentary for this year, it's going to be that Christopher Reeves one. This is a very good documentary though as well. So yeah, if you are interested in it, what will I give this? I'll give this like a 8 out of 10. So I'll go 8 out of 10. I would like to have heard more about the '90s, about his Oscar, because I love movies so much and the Oscars. When, for example, when I went and saw Billie Eilish in 2023 last year, and she did not do the song "No Time to Die" in her performance, I was disappointed because she won an Oscar for that song. And so I was disappointed because you won an Oscar for it. You might as well play it. So for me here in this documentary, you won an Oscar for it. You should talk about it. And it's not really talked about. None of the things he won Oscars for is really talked about. So that was a little bit of disappointment for me. Other than that, really good documentary. So you guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed me talking about another documentary. I've been watching documentaries a little bit lately, with the Christopher Reeve one and this Elton John one. So more movie reviews to come. I hope you guys stay tuned. And hey, don't do anything that I wouldn't do.